Flyweight bout, Steven Erceg sitting at -160 against Allesandro. Costa sitting at +130. Over under 2.5 rounds, -145 for the over, +115 for the under. Costa coming in after a win over Jimmy Flick. This will be his third UFC fight. Came into the UFC fighting Amir Albazi, which is a tough draw for your UFC debut. Steven Erceg picked up a massive win in his UFC debut against David Dvorak. Came in as a pretty sizable underdog against a ranked opponent, able to go in there and get a decision win. That was back at UFC 289. He's on another pay-per-view here. Looks like a pretty dang good prospect out of Australia. I guess contender now. He's just beat a ranked guy. So this is a good fight. I believe the original matchup was Erceg and Matt Schnell. Matt Schnell pulls out. And seems like we get a better fight because the line came down on Erceg when Costa came in. So it's a good fight. Flyweight fight's always fun. This is the featured prelim, so we're expecting a good fight here. Who you got?
Yeah, the first thing that jumps off the page to me, especially watching tape, is how big Steve Erceg is for a flyweight. 125 pounds. He's 5'8", and he's long too. I think that's going to take him far in this fight and probably a lot of his UFC fights going forward. With Costa coming in against Amir Albazi is probably the hardest draw you could possibly have for a UFC debuter. I mean, Albazi beat Kai Kara-France, a close fight, controversial, whatever. Albazi's sitting up there probably looking at a title shot in the next year. That's your first UFC fight only, a year ago? A little less than a year ago, I guess. And he looked pretty damn good, all things considered, in that first round before he got finished, later in the fight. But Erceg, against a guy like David Dvorak, I'm pretty sure was Dvorak ranked at all around 15 before that fight? Mm-hmm. And not the deepest division, but he looked really good, did some damage on the feet. Erceg's going to shine when this thing hits the ground. That's where he does a lot of his best work. He's long. He locks in some good submissions. So I think the game plan for him is going to have to be to get it there, because with Costa, like, the guy's got some good striking and he's got some power. And if he can close the distance and land some shots, it's going to get interesting, because we've seen Erceg on the regional scene get hit before. Sometimes his hands drop and his chin goes up when guys are coming at him and throwing shots, which worries me at this level. And it definitely worries me against a good striker like Costa. But at the same time, man, 5'8" is a big height advantage. He's going to be harder to hit than Costa probably thinks. And with Erceg on the feet, what he does do well is he uses his kicks to the body, the front kick, and he eats guys' legs up to kind of keep guys off of him until he can kind of get the fight to the ground and do what he wants from there. I do think Steve Erceg wins this fight. I think the odds are pretty fair right now. He's not a massive favorite by any means. I think based on both guys' career so far in the UFC, with Erceg's one fight and Costa's two fights, I think Erceg probably looks like maybe the better prospect right now. And I'm going to stick with him here for the pick. I think he does get it done against Costa, but probably a decently close fight if I had to guess.
Yeah, the thing that impressed me about Erceg the most in his debut was the striking, because we saw in the regionals, he's getting a lot of submission wins, and then he went out there against David Dvorak, hurt him on the feet, and was able to stand with a guy who's pretty decent striker. Low volume is David Dvorak, but Erceg was able to get the better of the exchanges and hurt him. So coming in here against Costa, who fights out of the same camp as Diego Lopez, I'm pretty sure that's why he's taking this fight, be on the same card, get the team going there at UFC 295, and it's a ranked guy here in Steve Erceg, or at least I think he's around 15 or a little around there. And Costa looked good his last time out, but again, it's Jimmy Flick. Like, Jimmy Flick has nothing to offer on the feet. He absolutely brutalized him with the leg kicks. And then against Amir Albazi, he held his own for the first couple of rounds and then gets knocked out in the third. I think Costa is going to be decent in the flyweight division, but based on Erceg's last performance, I just think he's going to be a little bit too much. He's got the length, and he's got the submission ability as well. So I think Erceg probably pulls off a win here. I don't necessarily think it's going to be easy. I think Costa should be able to hang with them on the feet. If it goes to the ground, I do think it's fairly even there. I don't necessarily think this is one that Erceg runs away with, but I do think he gets the dub, and I'll take him for the pick.